Hey, this is Mark here at Gary's Guitars, and I'm here to talk about the Fender controversy because everyone's been talking about it. I initially did one of those things where I'm like, okay, everyone's talking about this. It's been talked about. I'll go talk about something else. And I did a video about Elixir strings this week. But I do have things to say about it. I do have things to add to it. People have asked for my perspective on it because I have a perspective on the guitar industry that's not necessarily the same as all the other channels out there. So, here it goes. What do I think about the Fender controversy? Is it a PR nightmare? Yes. Did Fender shoot themselves in their foot? Yes. Is Fender an evil private equity run corporation that is trying to stomp out all competition through litigious methods? Or is Fender a scrappy legacy company that's in danger of being swallowed up by a world of copycats, and they're just trying to keep using their elbows to, just to keep this all at bay and just to stay in the game? Yes. So is it both? Yeah. Or is it somewhere in between? Most likely. But that's a lot to say. All these things can be true. So, you probably heard about this. I'll give the 30-second summary. Fender sued a Fender forger, a company that made literal forgeries of Fender guitars, not Fender style guitars, but I believe this company was making guitars that were literal forgeries. Fender sued them in a European court because their American court suits, they chose the place for it. They won in a summary judgment, meaning the defendant didn't show up, and so the judge said, well, I guess we only have information from the plaintiff, and therefore we'll go with the plaintiff. And the idea is this sparked this idea that Fender could, under copyright, defend the instrument, the Stratocaster style guitar, as being their sole intellectual property. It's a stretch. I don't think it's going to change the way that... now, the big news is people are like, I got a friend, they got a cease and desist notice, because they're making Fender's style guitars in the garage. Well, I'd rather talk to my friends at All Parts first, although All Parts is licensed to Fender products, so I don't think they have any problems. But to see the extent of exactly how bad this is it a PR mistake? Of course. Has Fender done things like this in the past? Yes. Do other guitar companies defend their copyrights and trademarks? Yes. So, is it business as usual? Yes. But, how does it affect Fender? And going forward, and and let's just talk about this idea. People are like, I'm not buying Fender guitars. This is just too far. We're living in this age of grievance. People are just feeling Fender is the target of the grievance of well, let me say it this way. Sorry to interrupt that, but I have this friend, his name was Tom Daly. Anyone from around this area would remember Tom. Big supporter of the music business around here. Owned a recording studio and a record label and stuff. And I was having lunch with him once, and he looked at me and he just said, it's never about the dirty dishes. And then it just, that was wisdom. The argument isn't about the dirty dishes in the sink. It's about a larger problem. And so people are mad at Fender, but they're not really mad at Fender necessarily. Or, they are mad at Fender. But the real problem is people have this feeling that these corporations, everywhere they turn, are just putting the screws to them and treating them badly and being aggressive and being too money-minded. And people are just tired of this idea of corporations through litigation shaping the world that they live in. So it's not necessarily to do with Fender guitars. The Fender guitars are what Fender's done with this controversy are the dirty dishes in the sink. And people are really mad because they just see a bigger picture. where it's like, damn it, can't we just stop suing each other off the face of the earth? Can't we just admit that for the last 70 years, Leo Fender made something 70 years ago, and we've all been copying it ever since? I think that's the larger issue here. That the rage that people are feeling about this idea that Fender is being evil isn't necessarily to do with any evil, anything out of the ordinary corporate behavior. This is what companies do. They defend their copyrights and their trademarks. It just comes at a really bad time in our life when we're being forced to use AI. And we're being forced to acknowledge that, yes, we have to, build all these data centers everywhere. And this is not of your choosing. You don't get to choose if the data center is in your neighborhood. You don't get to choose if it gets built or not. Just we, the corporations, have decided that the world needs AI, and you're coming along for the ride. And people feel helpless about that. So, instead, Fender steps in, shoots themselves in the foot, so to speak. They step in a big pile of poo-poo when I think they were just doing something that that they thought would, it wasn't a major strategy change in how they run the company. It was like, oh yeah, let's poke this bear, see if it wakes up. And it did. So, where does that leave us and Fender? Am I boycotting Fender? No. Why? Because I have too many on the wall. No. We need Stratocasters and Telecasters. Yeah, I'm not willing to give them up. Do other companies make better versions of a Stratocaster? Fender makes a better version of a Stratocaster. So they just make varying qualities of the instrument depending on how much money you're willing to pay for it. They've made variations on their own designs for the last 70 years. So, I'm not jumping on board, stomping on Fender. I do not think what they did was wise. I do not think it's in the interest of their company. But I'm not going to react the opposite way either. I'm not going to just assume that they have the worst intentions. Let's not forget this. Fender wanted to go public. They wanted to be an IPO. I don't know, was it 15 years ago? I think it was 2012, as I recall. Going public is great. There's this concept I call in business OPM. What's the OPM factor? Other people's money. OPM. Our economy is just run on the principle of making other people's money your money is the easiest way to earn money. And that's this idea of an IPO. And that Fender wants to, the idea that they could spin off this company into an IPO, as Servco, the majority owner, could, and that it could bring them a lot of money. And that's why they're in business. They're in business to make money. So, conclusions. What will this do? There will be a lot of smoke and a lot of even more anger, but it'll come around. So, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.